here at CU Online. I'm the primary Canvas admin, do a lot of support training, other learning technologies, stuff like that. So glad to be here.
He's very helpful.
Thank you. I didn't pay you to say that either. And like as we mentioned before, I mean, it's kind of, I've talked to a number of different groups on campus, I think particularly in the School of Ed, about trying to implement the rubrics and outcomes part. We're not going to really touch on outcomes in this one. We're just going to build basic rubrics, but you know, they have very strong opinions on what something is. And I think like Sarah and I went to the School of Ed, and one of them down there says, that's not a rubric. When they looked at what it was in Canvas, I said, yeah, it is. It's just a different kind from what you're used to. It's not formatted the same way. Yes, the points go from large to small, not small to large. That's how it works. So I'm going to show you how it works in Canvas, and it does work. And I think, you know, like the technology is present to make it work. It does the basic functions of what a rubric does, being transparent to your students, allowing you to easily grade. So let's go ahead and just get into this right off the bat. So as Amy mentioned, you already have your kick-ass rubric that you've created in a Word document or PDF, and you want to go ahead and move it into Canvas. There are a couple ways you can do that. You can add it directly to an assignment as you create it, or you can create it in a holding area within your course. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. We go to this place here that says Outcomes. We'll go in there. And this has a list of just course level outcomes. Like I said, we're not going to touch that right now, but in this little secret area right here with this ellipsis, you can open this and say Manage Rubrics. And there's a list of every rubric within your course right here for your use. And if you want to go and just add one and have that available to attach to any assignment in your class, you just click on Add a Rubric. It defaults to something called Some Rubric.
And
That's
we
awesome.
are recording this right now, and you will be able to have access to that video.
And so this one's going to be Summer Design Rubric, okay? And by default, you have just one criterion here. Right? That's your starting point. And you have two levels of ratings. 5 or 0.
Again, quick question.
Yes.
If I create a rubric, can I export it to another course?
You will actually be able to find that rubric in another course. If you go in and you want to add a rubric to an assignment, even if it's a different course where you originally created it, you can go in and find that and pull it in.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Import, is it the import or?
It would be like find a rubric, I think is what, yeah, I'll show you as we actually attach this to an assignment, so
Thanks.
just going in order here. You also see it defaults to 5 points, but let's say we want to go ahead and make this reflect the rubric that Amy was sharing before. So let's go ahead and we'll make this one, we're going to edit the description of the criterion here, and this is just like a kind of the short name for the criterion. So if you click on and edit that, this one's going to be, for example, content. All right. You can also have a longer description in there if you want to with more details, but it's content. And we also wanted to have about 5 levels in there as we had before, and we want it to be worth, it was 20 points, right? 15, oh sorry, 15, yeah. 15 points. And so you'll see it defaulted to 15 for full marks, 0 points for no marks, and we want to create about 5 different criteria. So if all you need to do is you can either hit this little plus or just this little arrow button here, and all of a sudden it breaks it out into more. So we got 4, 5. All right. If you want to edit this further, you can actually change those point values within each little cell here just by editing. So let's say you want this actual middle ground to be more than 4, you can make it 6 if you want to. Make this one 4. And you can also change the description as well. So this is where it comes in handy to have that document in there, because if I want to go in and edit this description, this is the only real amount of real estate I have to write things in there. So creating a rubric on the fly, not advised, because as soon as you get past about 5 words, you're running off the page. But if you copy and you paste that description in there, it'll be available for your use. And so let's say we go through and we create this full one. And I'm just going to do short ones here. So this one will be very good or whatever. Okay. For terrible. Let's pretend that those were
Useful.
Those are a little bit more useful. Yeah, I'm just saying I'll show you some that are a little bit more fully fledged or whatever. But this is just just getting through the basics of adding this kind of stuff. And as you go along, you'll actually want to add more and more criteria to this. So in order to do that, you just hit plus. Description of this one. This one would be format, right? Okay. And you do the same thing, except this one was just 5 points, right? But you want to have about a 5-point scale. Build it out like that. Add another criterion, and that one was grammar. And there you go. Now you have your 25 points for that assignment as well.
Again, another question.
Yes.
These are very short descriptions. Your rubric is huge.
Yeah.
So how can you, and my rubrics tend to be huge too, so how can I add those?
You copy and paste it into this rating description right here, into that field.
And
they will, yeah, I'm going to show you. I have some built out rubrics in this course that.
You can also use the view longer description, and you can put all of your descriptions in there and then just have the
For the
ratings.
criterion, yeah.
Yes, for each criterion, you could do, 15 equals this, 14 equals this, or like I said earlier, you could, each line under each criterion could be its own row.
Okay.
Right. But that's the way, this is kind of like the basic way to build this out. This little button here, I think I might as well just address this. It says find outcome. Within Canvas, you can also create course level outcomes, meaning, and what that does is it actually adds another criterion row to this, and so it becomes part of the assignment grade or something like that. And then, depending on how you judge that outcome, it will actually open up a whole other world of assessment, meaning that you can have access to like the learning outcomes gradebook, which is something different. So, for example, if you had a paper and you're giving points on things like content, format, grammar, but you also have one of your course outcomes in that rubric, a student could do, let's say, poorly overall on that assignment, but let's say they nailed that outcome, that would be reflected in the learning outcomes gradebook. If you're interested in any of this stuff at all, come see me. It's kind of very, it can be a little bit complicated, but I think also pretty valuable because it actually directly addresses that kind of stuff that the accreditation people really love. I know certain programs too are want to implement this as well and report out those outcomes as well. So if you get a head start on that, you're going to be in good shape when accreditation time rolls around, and you'll be a valuable resource to everybody. But in this case, we're just going to build this basic rubric right here. So let me show you what this looks like in practice. So I'm going to create that rubric. When I go into an assignment, create a brand new assignment, I'm just going to go through this in general. So this will be, let's see. Instructions. All right. We'll make it send this into Alex's assignments. I won't mess things up. We'll reflect the point value here that we have in the rubric as well. That's going to be helpful. You want to line those up. That rubric that we created was 25 points, so make this 25 points, just so there's no discrepancy there. And this one's going to be a file upload. It's an online assignment. And you'll notice that there's no place in here to actually add the rubric. What you have to do is once you've saved this assignment, this is where you add the rubric. I think this is what really trips people up. So if you go in, add plus rubric, it'll default back to this like, oh, do you want to create a rubric and build it out? No, in fact, you actually want to find a rubric. And this one is going to be, where is it? Oh, here's my, from this is a list of all my other courses in Canvas. So if I go into here, I'll be able to find my summer camp, summer design rubric.
You know, Canvas
So
used to
preview
default
this.
to the course you're in, and it stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's tied to our it's not tied to our admin access? That's what I was talking to Sarah about yesterday.
I don't think so, because I
Yeah.
don't.
You don't
have
have
that. And it does not, yeah.
But still, if you know your class, it's easy to find.
And then you've attached the rubric right here. If you go in to edit this too, you can actually choose some different options here as well. So this lets you to write free-form comments alongside that rubric when you're assessing students. And you can also choose to use this rubric for assignment grading, which lets you kind of total up the points as well, basically.
But if you click that, I'll write this reform, then all those columns go away.
Yes. So you don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
you don't
You
want
can
to
go apply
I
that.
made that mistake once. It was just like unclick and it
Exactly.
worked back.
Yes.
It came back.
Could I create a rubric right there?
You could, yes. You can absolutely do that. So you can do it either way. You can go into that outcome section and just create all your rubrics at once and then just attach them to them. Or you can, obviously with your already awesome, well-designed written out Word document rubric, go in and create it there as well.
And can they see it? They see that on Canvas?
They will see that, yep. Yeah, I'll show you what this looks like from the student perspective, because I'm going to go in and I'm going to submit a paper. So we'll publish this. I'll go in as a test student. There's assignment. And where is it?
Almost,
Where is that?
summer camp.
It was like.
Oh, summer camp term paper, there we go. So this is what a student sees. They see the instructions and then they also see the rubric right there. So they know what's expected of them. I'll go ahead and submit this assignment. Choose a file. Let's go to. Got my Canvas Basics assignment here. My reading. Add my comment. All right.
There it is.
And so it's submitted there. So I'm gonna leave this and we'll go back in now. Now I'm an instructor. Again, it looks pretty similar except now I have access to the speed grader. Once I go into the speed grader, I'll see the paper in line here, and then if I want to start grading with a rubric, I'll also see their little comment there. We'll see about that. Once you click View Rubric, you'll see everything pops up here. Now, if you have a big, robust rubric, you're going to run out of real estate pretty quick. Even now with this basic thing, you have to kind of scroll. And I always have a tough time. What happened?
Yeah, you have to just.
So, oops. All right, let's jump back into it. All right, view the rubric. And you usually have to kind of drag it out. Why can't I ever?
I think it's the 3 dots.
I made it disappear again. Goodness gracious. There we go. View rubric and then expand that however you need it. And then you can go in and all you need to do is after you've read the paper through once, then you can go through and add those points. You'll see it totals 14 out of 25. Hit save. And then the point total appears right up there. So that wasn't very good at all, but definitely not an A paper. But it also gives you room to fudge a little bit too. Let's say you have a range of, within those rating levels or whatever. You can fudge up or down or a little bit, but I would also maybe provide a little description as to why you arrived on that if it didn't total up exactly to what they're saying on there. So let's say it's like right on the edge of a B+, and you go, okay, this is a 15 instead. Say.
And can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if the paper or the assignment is actually like they're answering 3 questions,
Mhm.
it seems like the rubric, the point should be per question. So rather than overall, so that you're going through each question and it's easy to decide which points to provide, as
So-
opposed to rolling up to an overall.
Do you want to address that? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's-
so
yeah.
what you would, if you wanna do that, you have a couple of choices. If you want it all submitted under one assignment, your rubric would have to have 3 times the rubric, if that makes sense. Like the question 1 part, question 2 part, question 3 part, then you would be able to do it that way. You can also not use the rubric for grading, and then the students have access to that rubric, but you are not doing the clicking. Instead, you're just marking and then writing it in at the end. That's sort of the way to do that, because the Canvas, the way it works, an assignment is an assignment, and the rubric goes to that assignment. You can't put 4 rubrics per one assignment. You can only have 1 rubric per assignment.
But like what you were saying for the rows of
Uh-huh.
the rubric, it could be cute, question 1, and then the points are allotted.
Absolutely, yeah, you could
Question 2.
you can set your rubric up that way if you want. You could do a rubric that has, 1 criterion per question or 2 criterion per question, and as long as you're clear about how that goes. Yes, so the choices really are, you can set up the bigger rubric that covers all your questions, or you can just have your rubric there for student access and not actually use that for grading.
And you don't necessarily have to use this just for papers either. You can attach a rubric to a discussion post as well. That's kind of it's a little bit hidden, so I'll show you how to do that. We go to discussions.
Can I ask a question before you leave that?
Yeah. Oh.
And that is, when you grade a paper, is there a best practice on putting comments within the paper or just in the comment section?
I think whatever you want to do, because students will see that feedback.
We're gonna talk
No matter
about
what.
feedback
Okay,
tomorrow.
great.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna talk a little bit about that and
Yeah.
about sort of how to think about that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I'd say like that comment field there is just more of like it's like a general comment about the paper, whereas if you use those pointed comments, it's addressing a specific part of that paper. Like if you're
Right.
using those tools in there, you're like, okay, yeah, this section, your good thesis statement or whatever, that's a particular part. The other one is just more of an overall comment.
And Kate's gonna go over the speed grader in detail tomorrow as well.
Are you gonna show, adding rubrics to essay questions within a quiz?
No, you can't, because you can't do that.
Oh.
It only worked for overall for an assignment, so, yeah. So I can't show you.
But you could
You
paste a rubric into the question so they can see it.
You can also add a rubric to a quiz overall, but it won't do the grading for you. It's just like, you can add it, but, so for example, let's show you a discussion here. Click on this little gear right here. This is where you can add a rubric. And it'll let you either create it or find it within the course, and then you attach it. And then this that you can use for grading. it'll open up that rubric and you can grade the discussion, the students' discussion contributions that way. Overall, for like a quiz, I know that you can do it. I haven't done it very often, but let's have a look here. You can, oh yeah, there's a rubric attached here. You can add that.
And so for a essay question would just be one of those boxes, comment boxes, or not comment, but text boxes, where you would add it in. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work so well for that, so.
If you're doing it, I mean,
You do 20 point.
yeah, the question
Essay.
is, why do you need to use, like, just answering for yourself, not that I'm like saying, why do you do this, but why are you using the quiz function
Yeah.
for that? And is there a reason it has to be done as a quiz, or could it be done as an assignment? And even if it's in person in that moment, that they're just turning it in. So answering that question, if you're using some of the like anti-cheating tools and all that, then it has to be a quiz. So in that sense, that's where you can attach a rubric to the whole thing. But if it doesn't, then maybe creating your essay test as an assignment might make it easier for you.
Thank you.
That'd be the way to do it, yeah. That'd be my
Yeah.
recommendation for sure. But yeah, that's kind of like the whirlwind tour of creating this. The best practice to do this is to practice. So there are also some great, I always point people towards the guides as well. The Canvas guides are very good. There's a separate section on rubrics within the instructor guide. So let's have a look here. Just to get to that, if you go to the instructor level guide, there's a whole heading for rubrics right here, including all of every step on how to create those and add that. So how do I add a rubric to a quiz? So a lot of times, if I get questions like that, this is always my first resource. I'm not some sort of Canvas savant. I use the information that's out there right now. I remember a few things, but I deal with it a lot, but most of the time my answer to questions is, oh, I don't know, but I'll find out. and I have the same resources here. So yeah, it's just a matter of finding it in the right spot. So
Well,
I think we're like way over time.
yeah,
right?
it's okay, no big deal. Because we've got work time baked in, so we've got some time now to work. We've also got, lunch is here, so you're welcome to do that. I'm gonna show, for those of you that wanted to see how to put, to embed a Google form right into Canvas, I'll show you that in a second. Sorry, I'm just getting back into my computer. But let me just take a peek at our schedule real quick so I can tell you. So this afternoon we've got, we have at 12:30 is when we're kind of coming back together. So you've got a little bit of time for lunch and all that. And we've got some work time this afternoon too. Do we want to push that back? Do you all want a little more time? Should we come back at 1 today? Or do you want to just jump in at 12:30 and power through the afternoon? 12:30. Awesome. We're going to come back at 12:30. So lunch is here for my friends who are gluten-free, vegan, etc. There are separate stuff out there that is set up for you. So make sure to take a look. Everything else is on the table. I will show real quick now how to do the embedding the Google form. If you already know how to do it, aren't interested, don't feel rude by stepping out. I'm just going to jump in and show you how to do that real quick. So I'm just going to.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll be back a little bit later.
So if I'll just go into my drive and grab a form that I have in here. Where do I know I have forms in here? So I've got a form that I created. I want to embed this form.
We can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry.
It's on the other one.
Yeah.
Share. There we go. Okay, so this is from my other job. This is how the students in the show we just cast told us they were accepting their part. So this is a form that has been set up. And if I go here, so I've created my form. If you want, does everyone know how to create a Google form, or do you need me to go over that? Awesome, great. So you've got a form, you've created it. When you're done creating it, it's the send button here. And then when you see here these two little like carrots, that means HTML code. So if you click on that, embed HTML, and you are going to copy and paste this whole thing. First thing you're going to want to do is look at the width and the height, just to see, because that's telling you how wide it is and how tall it is. And so that only really matters. It should be responsive, and it should, because Google stuff is responsive, so it shouldn't matter. But if you're having problems, you can go back and change the width and height later if you need to. So you're just going to do that and go ahead and copy it. So I copied that, and now I'm going to jump into Canvas. And you'll go into whatever course it is that you're wanting to put it in. So I'm just going to put it in here. And now I want to just make that a page. So I'm going to click on page, and I'm going to click on pages. Wait, why is this? View all pages, thank you. Yeah. So here, click on plus page, which makes a new page. And I'm going to put Google form. And then what I'm going to do right over here, you see where it says HTML editor? This is the HTML source code for the page. So I'm just going to click on that, and what it does is it opens it up, and there's nothing in there because I haven't put anything on that page yet. So I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to paste it in there, and then I'm going to put save, and it's going to pop back in here, and there's my form.
Oh, nice.
So that, yes, I know, right? So it's great, and it's there, and if I publish this, then, and I'll go in here and just go view it as a student, so you can see what the students see. Oops, one. So if I go in here and where my student view is. It should be. It's like, this is why I practice things before I show them to people. Oh, right there. Why did that?
Because you click from
Because I click something else. Let's go back. Nope.
to go to settings,
Yeah. It's
and then go to the right.
I don't know why.
Maybe that's not.
I don't know what's going on here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so student view. So if I click student view, it's because I'm in a condensed format because I'm sharing it. That's why. So if I go to student view here, it shows that I'm in student view, and if I come over here to pages, and then I want to look at that page, if I go here, my Google form, that's what your students see, and they can type in there and submit it. And then this will just, it's as if they went to that form anywhere else. So that's a great way to get feedback, to do group work. You can set up your pages so that only a certain group has access to that page, so that each group has their own page and you have separate surveys for the groups. Or you can have them, one of your questions can be, what group were you in? And you have a drop-down menu and they select the group, and then you can sort your form by group. So that's another way to do it with just one form, is that, because it just sets up a Google Sheets spreadsheet for you, so you can sort that by type. So, awesome. Fabulous. Well, we will convene in 35 minutes.
Thank you.